If you want to binge watch a sweet and wholesome shoujo anime, then look no further. My Love Story is a romantic comedy that was released in 2015 and consists of 24 episodes. Spoilers ahead! I'm going to be giving a detailed recap and a review of the show, and this one is actually worth watching. So if you don't want the tender-hearted moments ruined, watch it first, then come back. Please. Please come back. Dad, we don't need milk. I'm lactose intolerant. Episode 1. We are introduced to our main protagonist and male lead of the story, Takeo Goda. Simply put, he is not like other guys. Despite just graduating middle school, grade 9 for us Americans, he dwarfs most adults and is comparable in size and strength to a gorilla. He's also very loyal and brave, quickly jumping into action whenever there's trouble. And his best friend, Makoto Tsunekawa, aka Suna, is more of the typical handsome character you would see in a romantic comedy. Compared to Takeo, he's a calm, level-headed guy, and everyone around him finds him attractive as fuck. All of the girls Takeo has ever had a crush on, Suna has accidentally stolen away and also brutally rejected. While on the train, Suna and Takeo notice this pervert creep groping a girl. Takeo immediately jumps in and saves her from the freak, and again comes to her defense when the creep says she was asking for it by dressing like that, in her literal school uniform. Yeah, that really pissed Takeo off, and he decked the guy in the face in front of the police, leading to his temporary suspension from high school. The girl's name is Rinko Yamato, and she tracks down Takeo's address in order to properly thank him for saving her. And Takeo believes that Rinko has fallen for Suna, which makes him feel sad because he was smitten with her on sight. But Rinko accidentally leaves her cell phone at Takeo's house, thus forcing the three to meet again, as Takeo returns it. Rinko is a baker, and she baked them a cheesecake last time, and now macaroons. Takeo is like, wow, this girl is actually an angel? I will not let her heart get broken by Suna this time. I will support their relationship. And likewise, Suna actually seems to have a good opinion on Rinko, which is rare. Rinko exchanges phone numbers with Takeo, and they agree to meet up again to try Rinko's homemade foods. Episode 2. Takeo realizes, despite knowing Suna for all his life, he has no idea what type of girls Suna's into. So he directly asks Suna and gains very little useful information. We learn that Suna isn't opposed to dating or girls, but he finds the idea of it all tiring. They meet Rinko again at the park. While Suna's off getting drinks, Takeo tries to hype him up to Rinko by sharing stories from their childhood, all of which shine an embarrassing light on himself. Takeo gets Suna to share his phone number with Rinko, and then they say goodbye. But then a falling beam nearly squashes Rinko to death. Takeo is a tank, and he stops the beam from crushing her. But Suna and Rinko come back to help, giving Takeo the strength to toss the beam out of the way. Rinko thanks him again, and this gesture takes Takeo out.
Takeo. Hey. Hey, man. You walked into a telephone pole.
Later on, Rinko calls and asks if the next time they meet, it can be just the two of them, and Takeo agrees. Episode 3. Rinko is really dressed up for their hangout, because if it wasn't obvious to you, Rinko does not have a crush on Suna. She likes Takeo. Takeo is as dense as a rock, though, in more ways than one, and tries to hype up Suna some more. Rinko cries and abruptly leaves, and Takeo believes that it's because of something Suna said or did, so he confronts him. And Suna's like, I wasn't going to intervene initially, but this is getting annoying. She doesn't like me, she likes you. And he tells Takeo that Rinko even went as far as asking if Takeo had a girlfriend. He also reveals the truth about all of Takeo's past crushes. They were bitches. They were all very mean to Takeo behind his back, which is why Suna, A, rejected them all, brutally, and B, complimented Rinko because she actually was a nice girl. Takeo doesn't believe it. He's in denial. But Rinko shows up at the Tsunekawa residence, so Takeo hides under the bed while she visits Suna. Rinko believes that Takeo's constant hype about Suna is a roundabout way of rejecting her, and she was really upset about it. And Suna is like, are you gonna give up then? And Rinko is like, no, never. I like Takeo Guda. And Suna makes her repeat herself like 3 or 4 times because, voila, Takeo's here, and he needed to hear it from her personally. So Rinko and Takeo confess their feelings for one another, and they start dating. They bake Suna a cake to thank him for helping them get together.
And well, Everyone likes to see their friends happy, don't they? Isn't that what friends do?
Suna really is the MVP of this story. And you might be thinking to yourself, hold on a minute, this is the 3rd episode of 24. How are they already dating? Do they break up like 50 times during the course of the show? And no, they don't, which is why this show is OP, amazing, top tier, because they don't follow the classic cliches of romance stories. The story's main focus isn't the slow burn tension of them falling in love with each other. It's about their relationship, their love story. Get it? Anyways, episode 4. Ringo goes to an all-girls high school, and when her friends learn that she got a boyfriend, they want to do a mixer, where they are introduced to Takeo and some of Takeo's friends as potential dates. Takeo readily agrees and is super excited to be introduced as Ringo's boyfriend. But Suna is more wary, and he warns Takeo that sometimes nice people can be too nice, and end up having shitty friends. Foreshadowing, you called? So now it's the day of the mixer meetup, and Rinko's friends are confused about Takeo's appeal, especially when compared to Suna. And Rinko and Takeo overhear 2 of the girls gossiping about Takeo. Rinko is upset and feels guilty, but Takeo is like, the only opinion that matters to me is yours, and this comforts her. But then the building catches on fire? Normal stuff for a normal shoujo story. And everyone made it out safely, except for the 2 mean girls. Naturally, Takeo saves them both, but in the process, he gets trapped under a bunch of rubble, and he is close to giving up on life. But he gets a literal wake-up call from Suna, who is like, Rinko's crying, and she's about to run back in for you. Can you, hurry it up? So Takeo blasts through a wall and lives, and Rinko's friends finally get his appeal now, and the 2 mean girls apologize for slandering him earlier. Episode 5, Rinko and Takeo are walking together alone in the park at night, and Rinko really wants a kiss, but Takeo thinks she's worried about him being too forward, and promises to never lay a finger on her. We meet Ai Sunakawa, Suna's older sister, and apparently she also has had a crush on Takeo, and is devastated to hear that he got a girlfriend. She basically stalks Rinko and Takeo by tracking Suna's location, and interviews them on why they're so in love. Takeo calls Rinko pure-hearted, and Rinko reacts strangely, which Ai notices. She suspects that Rinko is hiding something from Takeo. Episode 6. Even dense as a rock, Takeo begins to suspect that something is wrong. He tries studying shoujo manga and magazines to learn more about how girls feel. Ai decides to intervene on his behalf with surprisingly Gouda intentions, stating that maybe it will be easier for Rinko to come clean to another girl. Ai uses Suna to meet Rinko at the park, where she confronts Rinko. And Rinko admits that she is hiding a secret from Takeo. Not another boyfriend as I had predicted, but that she fantasizes about cuddling and kissing Takeo, and that she isn't as pure as he thinks she is. Ai is like, girl, Takeo could give less of a fuck, just communicate your feelings to him. So Rinko does, and they hold hands for the first time. And then Rinko further admits that she didn't accidentally leave her phone at Takeo's house in episode 1. She did it on purpose, so that they could meet again. And Takeo is 100% fine with it, as I predicted he would be. Ai reflects on how she first fell in love with Takeo. She was a pretty self-conscious kid, and often got teased for her looks, but Takeo, with zero hesitation or embarrassment, told her that she reminded him of these beautiful peace lilies. And that compliment stayed with her for all these years. But seeing how happy Rinko and Takeo are together, Ai decides to head back to college. Also, we get the funniest scene in the entire anime.
I need to kiss you.
Huh?
Today, Miss Yamato and I held each other's hands, and I was really terrible at it.
How can you mess up holding hands?
That is not important. But I want to make certain that when we kiss, that I don't screw that up too. I want to practice on you.
Why don't you use a pillow?
I already did! There's just something not right about it. I need a real person.
Find someone else, dude.
What? That would be completely disrespectful. I know you're good at keeping secrets. You're the only person I know I can trust with this.
Stop it, man. You're grossing me out.
You'll be fine. I brought some protection.
You need to get away from me.
With this between us, there won't be a problem.
There's gonna be a huge problem.
I've already made up my mind about this. Now be a man and kiss me!
Talkie, I'm having a little trouble breathing here.
Episode 7. Two classmates from high school beg Takio to fill in at the judo club for a month. They have an upcoming match with a rival school, and with their best member injured, they need Takio to help them win. Takio immediately agrees, because he's very selfless and kind, but realizes this means he'll be spending less time with Rinko for a while. Rinko is incredibly supportive, though, and makes him snacks and sends him text messages on the sidelines. Finally, it's match time. And naturally, it's all up to Takio to win the entire tournament. Takio's opponent is an old rival of his, from when he did judo in middle school. His rival thinks that having a girlfriend has made Takio soft, but au contraire, Takio easily kicks his ass. This episode is especially cute, because Rinko and Takio raise each other up and better each other, and it's just a beautiful example of a healthy relationship.
What does it mean to be strong? I'm not sure, but for her, I'm compelled to be the best man I can possibly be.
My heart needed this. Episode 8. Takio learns that Rinko's birthday is coming up in the next couple of weeks, specifically on June 15th. Rinko's only request is to spend the day together, and Suna is starting to act kind of weird. Also, Takio's mom is pregnant, and he's going to be an older brother soon. Yay! But Rinko theorizes that Suna is maybe lonely, and she extends her birthday date invitation to him. But Suna claims to be busy that day. He does help Takio plan Rinko's birthday itinerary, which he is goated at. Takio is still worried about Suna's behavior change, but he doesn't push the issue. If Suna wants to talk about it, he will. So instead, he gets a job at Macho's Cafe so he can afford to buy Rinko a birthday gift. Suna is also goated at picking gifts, reciting that Rinko was wanting these specific baking dishes. But Takio decides to get her this pin, which is ugly if we're being honest, but Rinko is bound to love anything he gives her, so... Takio's mom comes back from a pregnancy checkup and tells Takio that Suna's father has been hospitalized. He's always had this really poor heart, and the other day he collapsed. Takio confronts Suna and learns that Dad Tsunakawa is having an invasive heart surgery at 2 p.m. on June 15th, Rinko's birthday. Takio wants to reschedule his date with Rinko and be there for Suna, especially since Suna's mom and sister Ai are out of the country. But Suna gets mad, and he insists that Takio spends the day with Rinko as originally planned. Episode 9. Takio respects Suna's wishes and agrees to go on his date with Rinko. They bro it out, and Suna heads to the hospital. Takio meets Rinko for the birthday date, and she's looking cute.
I love her!
Just compare that to Wolf Girl and the Black Prince when Erika dragged Kyoya out for her birthday. The vibes here are so much better, and I love it. Takio and Rinko follow their itinerary and go bowling. Then they go to a restaurant that is known for their baked goods and desserts. Rinko is super impressed with how well thought out the date is, and Takio mentions that Suna helped him research and plan the date. The thought of Suna alone at the hospital makes Takio incredibly guilty, and he tells Rinko what has been happening behind the scenes. Rinko is like, dude, go to Suna, what? So he does. And Suna is anxiously waiting for the surgery to be completed. And he ends up venting a little about the trauma of watching his father get sick as a child and then again as a teenager. And he cries, and it's a very emotional scene. I nearly cried, but the doctor returns and is like, thumbs up emoji, and Tsunakawa's family arrives. So Takio and Suna head down to the lobby to chill, and there's Rinko, making Suna a gift to show her support. Also, Rinko's wearing the tacky pin Takio gave her, and my heart is just like, ugh. They really just be a throuple at this point. Like, The opening theme song has Takeo alone on a cake as like a cake topper, but then as the story progresses, Rinko joins him on top of the cake, and then Tsunakawa. And it's super cute, and it's one of the few times that is actually worth watching the opening theme every episode. Episode 10. Rinko and Takeo go on a picnic to make up for the short birthday date, but it ends up being kind of a hike through the mountains. And a crow tries to steal Rinko's birthday pin, resulting in her and Takeo falling down the mountainside. Any other person would have died, but Takeo is such a brute that they both come out alive and unharmed. But now they are completely lost in the woods with no signal. Takeo scouts out the area and hears cars to the south, but it will take them all day and night to get back home. Rinko is all blushy and nervous to be alone with Takeo, but Takeo interprets her nervousness as fear. He tries his best to comfort her, and they watch the stars before they sleep. A little cheek kiss? Okay, get it, girl. Takeo's parents are completely unconcerned with his absence, and Suna is busy reading books. So the only people who notice Rinko's absence is her parents. And they call her friend group because they're concerned, but Rinko's friends know that she is out with Takeo, so they think she's getting some, so they cover for her and say she's spending the night with them. The next day, Rinko and Takeo make it out of the woods and finally head to their respective homes. Rinko's friends press for details, only to discover that they completely misread the situation.
Okay, spill it.
I was so nervous my heart was pounding right out of my chest. I mean, it was my first time at all. And we were out in the jungle.
Did you say outside?
But since I was with Takeo, he made me feel so safe. I mean, even after the wild boar, I was still able to fall asleep.
Do what?
Rinko, you're all covered in mud.
Seriously, what happened to you last night?
We sort of got stranded in the mountains.
What?
Episode 11. Beach episode, let's go! Takeo's friends and Rinko's friends meet up to spend the day together at the beach. Rinko wants to make Takeo's heart race with her bathing suit reveal, but Takeo is determined to be a gentleman and not let any of the girls get oogled at. And, if anything, it's Rinko whose heart is sent racing whenever she tries to approach Takeo. The group smashes melons, plays beach volleyball, and goes swimming. Takeo and Rinko take a walk together, and as the sun sets over the horizon, they both say, "I love you," and almost kissed. Oh my god! Episode 12. Rinko is actually really smart, and she mentions to Takeo about how she would love to go to college together. However, she has her heart set on Murasaki Fuji, which is a seemingly impossible place for Takeo to get into, so she debates changing her school of choice to match his. Takeo doesn't want Rinko to give up on her dream school, so he begs for Suna's help studying, as there is a mock benchmark exam coming up. With some mischievous hesitation, Suna agrees to help him study.
Why is math so stupid?
Dude, I could not agree more. Rinko also helps Takeo study, but both Takeo's mom and dad interrupt their study session because they're excited to meet the girlfriend, so they end up going to Suna's house to study and distract him instead. Finally, it's mock exam time, and he got intermediate, which really disappoints him. Until we learn that Murasaki Fuji is an all-girls college, which is why it was impossible for him to get in. But the episode ends with Takeo determined to end up at the same college as Rinko and Suna, so they can spend more time together. Episode 13. Takeo and Rinko take Suna to the movies, then on a trip through the mountains, and they seem really eager to make sure that Suna is having a good time. Because, surprise! It's Suna's birthday! And they gift him a blankie since he gets cold easily. They are so cute. I'm dying. New day. Rinko and Suna visit Takeo while he's at work, when some random guy shows up looking for Takeo. His name is Hayato Oda, and apparently he goes to uni with Ai. Oda has feelings for Ai, but she rejected him due to her one-sided crush on Takeo, which she accidentally revealed under hypnosis. So Oda went to scope out the situation. Oda is a little creepy, not gonna lie, and he learns that Takeo wants to take Rinko to MM Land, but she's scared to go there because of the alleged jinx that couples who go there inevitably break up. So Oda invites himself, Ai, and Suna along, which no longer makes it a date and counteracts the jinx, I guess. The reason for this is that Oda plans to separate Rinko from Takeo at Land, allowing Ai to confess her feelings to Takeo and then move along with her life. And maybe move along with him? Episode 14 pretty much just recaps Oda's sinister plans, and she's not into it. She is determined to make sure Rinko and Takeo have a good time together. So they go on a bunch of rides, and then they stop for a lunch break where Oda tells Ai that he gives up on his nefarious plan, but zoinks! He spills ketchup on her to make her run into the bathroom to rinse it off, and then he takes Rinko and Suna on an adventure to get popcorn, leaving Takeo to stay there as their landmark since he's so tall and big. And Suna forgot his phone at home, and Oda unplugged Takeo's phone charger the night prior so it wouldn't charge, forcing all means of communication to be between him and Ai. And naturally, he leads Ai on a wild goose chase of trying to track them down.
Okay, thank you so much for all of this.
Oh?
It's because of you, Oda, I've been able to come to Land with Takeo. And it's been a really good time.
Wow, what a guilt punch, Rinko. Takeo notices that Ai is feeling sad, so he takes her on a bunch of rides to cheer her up. I guess it's all fine as long as they reunite with the group before the nighttime parade, which is an iffy take from Takeo, not gonna lie. Ai chooses to still not confess her feelings to Takeo, as she is resolved to support his relationship from the sidelines. And Oda realizes that he's actually quite relieved about this, because, he's in love with Ai, and he decides to continue to try to win her heart. At the end of the day, Rinko and Takeo reunite and watch the parade together, saying screw it to the jinx. And they almost kiss until Suna awkwardly appears from the background. Episode 15. The Sports Day Festival is approaching, and Takeo has been selected to be a part of the Swedish relay race, which is co-ed. However, one of his teammates sprained her ankle and has been replaced by the much slower Mariah Sajo. Mariah is embarrassed about being slower than the rest of the group, so she lies to get out of practice by claiming a stomachache, only to be later caught eating a crepe. Takeo promises to help her train to get faster, so they can win. When the day of the competition arrives, Mariah trips and falls during her portion of the race, but when she sees Takeo patiently waiting for her handoff, she gets the confidence to finish the race, and she starts catching feelings for him despite learning that he has a girlfriend. Takeo helps Mariah again when he catches her from falling down the stairs. She ends up lightly spraining her ankle, and despite Suna's numerous attempts to intervene, Takeo ends up carrying her home. The following day after school, Mariah seemingly goes to confess to Takeo, but ends up asking if she can be his apprentice instead. Episode 16. Rinko overheard Mariah's confession and is relieved to find that they are just friends. She invites Takeo and Suna to join her at an event held by one of the colleges they might potentially apply to. Mariah also plans on attending this college, so she ends up tagging along. When left alone, the two girls bond over how cool Takeo is. Suna, who was already suspicious of Mariah, confronts her about her feelings for Takeo, and Mariah realizes that she has a crush on Takeo. But Takeo gives a snack to Mariah from Rinko, and Mariah feels guilty for taking advantage of these two very kind souls. So after school, she confesses her true feelings to Takeo. Obviously, Takeo turns her down, but they agree to remain on good terms. Suna comforts a rejected Mariah, while Takeo reaffirms his love with Rinko. Episode 17. It's Christmas time, and Rinko and Takeo host a party with their respective friend groups. Apparently, Kurihara and Nanako have gone on a date before, and they even held hands. But they're in that weird zone between dating and girlfriend-boyfriend labeling. So Rinko and Takeo scheme to help the two officially get together and book an event at a karaoke joint. Legend has it that if you grab the star topper on this Christmas tree and confess your love, it will come true. I sense some foreshadowing.
Hey, ladies!
How's it going, guys?
Oh, well, Nanako, you must be chilly in a skirt that short, know what I'm saying?
Wow, Kurihara is so charming. But it's party time, And Kirihara is sending out mixed messages because one moment they're holding hands and the next he's totally friend-zoning her. Frustrated, Nanako leaves with Rinko in hot pursuit, and they get cornered by these ruffians. Kirihara witnesses the confrontation and grabs Takeo to scare the hooligans off. Nanako calls Kirihara a coward, and then Takeo grills the dude into getting off his ass and climbing the Christmas tree to get the star for Nanako. Touched by this act of affection and the following confession, Nanako and Kirihara start dating, and they become the most annoying couple on the face of this earth.
Speak of the devil, it's Nanako. Hey, baby, I was just about to call you, you sweet thing. So, you thinking about me or what?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe just a little bit. Like, you know.
Also, Rinko learns that the two have already shared their first kiss, and she gets super jealous. Episode 18. Takeo's birthday is on New Year's Day, so Rinko goes to Suna and Ai, who is home for the holidays, for advice on how to approach kissing territory with Takeo. Suna gets war flashbacks. But the Sunakawa siblings encourage Rinko to go for it. Finally, it's New Year's, and Rinko and Takeo do the classic shrine visit and fortune pulling. Then they go to Takeo's house, where Rinko gives Takeo a little stuffed bear. It squeaks! And a cheesecake similar to the one she made when they first met. Takeo closes his eyes to make a wish, and Rinko kisses him on the lips. But he doesn't even react, because he first thought it was a bug landing on his face.
It wasn't a bug!
What? But when he realizes what happened, he chases down Rinko and they kiss again. It's not even the end of the show and we're already getting the kiss scene? Amazing. Bless up. Episode 19 focuses on Takeo's mom, who is heavily pregnant now. Takeo's dad recounts the story of how he fell in love with Takeo's mom. Sorry, I don't remember the parents' names ever. But basically, they were at a company event and Takeo's mom saved a lady from getting burned by tea. Takeo's father already admired her work ethic and reliability, but seeing this selfless act made him pursue her. So, that's where Takeo gets his valiant personality from. Speaking of valiant personality, Takeo's mom saves another pregnant lady, who's also anemic, from falling down the stairs. But doing so, she injures her stomach and possibly the baby. So she ends up spending the rest of the pregnancy in the hospital. Takeo is losing his shit, so Suna and Rinko help take care of the household chores. Eventually, Takeo's mom goes into labor and births a healthy baby girl, and they name her Maki. Episode 20, it's Valentine's Day, and Takeo is excited to finally receive true love chocolates from Rinko. And maybe another kiss? Nanako begs for Rinko's help to make homemade goods for Kirihara, so Rinko ends up inviting all the girls over and they make cookies. With no one else really to give them to, since they go to an all-girls high school, they schedule a meetup with Takeo and his friends and give the cookies to them. Rinko doesn't give Takeo any chocolate, much to his disappointment, but then he realizes that the cookies were probably his Valentine's gift, and he regrets not savoring them. But just kidding, Rinko made him a chocolate cake that she was late putting the final touches on. The following day, Mariah gives both Takeo and Suna obligatory chocolates, intentionally waiting a day late so that she doesn't steal the spotlight from Rinko. We also get a foreshadowing for the next few episodes. Suna always receives a ton of chocolates on Valentine's Day, and being the gentleman that he is, he always gives White Day chocolates to all the girls who gave him something. But there has been this one anonymous gifter who has been giving chocolates every year since kindergarten. Episode 21. It's now White Day, and Takeo gives Rinko some homemade cookies that more closely resemble rice crackers, but she loves them. Of course she does. On his walk home with Suna, Takeo senses that someone is following them. He alone confronts the stalker, and it is a girl named Yukika Anami. And based on the love letter she's holding, Takeo puts two and two together. She's the anonymous Valentine's gifter, and was also their former classmate in kindergarten. She's basically had a lifetime crush on Suna, and has been low-key stalking him.
I've been watching him.
During school athletic festivals, or when there's not any festivals. I've been watching Sunakawa live his entire life.
Takeo helps introduce Yukika to Suna, who remembers her immediately. This spurts an immediate love confession from Yukika, and then she runs away in embarrassment.
I've been following him around. It's creepy. I'm a stalker, for God's sake.
At least she's self-aware, but she gets Suna to agree to neither accept nor reject her feelings until he gets to know her better. When Rinko learns about the situation, she helps plan a double date at the zoo. Episode 22. Yukika dresses up for the double date and she's looking cute, but this goddamn girl is so awkward. She barely talks to Suna at all. Yukika and Suna pair up for a trivia contest, which she is cracked at, and then she's finally able to let loose and have a good time. But after the date ends, Yukika realizes that Suna probably only agreed to the date because he is a kind person, and she preemptively rejects herself. Takeo and Rinko talk some courage into her, telling her not to give up until it's over. Then Suna calls, and he gives Yukika a White Day gift in exchange for all the past Valentine's gifts she's given him. He does end up rejecting her feelings, but she handles the situation way better now, and she thanks him for the good memories. Episode 23. Rinko gets a part-time job at a bakery.
There's this baking company called Mandarin, and they have a contest where people enter cakes using...
Listen to her.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here rambling on.
No, please, keep on talking.
Since you're always such a good listener, I sometimes get carried away and don't know when to stop. I guess that's just one of those things that I love about you the most.
God, they are such couple goals. Koyuki Ichinose is her senpai at work, and he is very egotistical. He's super nitpicky about Rinko's work, but she doesn't give up, and she even compliments his original dessert ideas, boosting his already too high ego. And he reads into the situation way too much, thinking that Rinko is his muse, and that she's in love with him. He even calls her by her first name, which is something Takeo is very jealous of, because Takeo's been calling her Miss Yamato this entire time. When Ichinose sees Takeo buying cake from Rinko and learns that he is her boyfriend, he immediately tells Takeo to dump Rinko because he is a better fit as her partner. Which is fucking crazy! Who are you to have the audacity to butt into Rinko's relationship? When you hardly even know her to begin with. It's so fucking weird. And also, I feel it's important to mention that Rinko is in high school, so she's probably 15 to 16 years old. And Ichinose is 21. 21 years old, this man is. So, yeah, we hate him. But Takeo gets a little insecure because, yeah, he isn't a baker, and Ichinose and Rinko have that shared common interest. And Suna gets concerned about Takeo's state of mind. Episode 24, Rinko calls Takeo and makes plans to see him, but she ends up canceling last minute because Ichinose is entering this baking competition, and he begs Rinko for her help. And Rinko doesn't know that Ichinose is flirting with her. She thinks that he might offer her a full-time position, which would be her absolute dream job. Takeo's friends hype him up, and he confronts Ichinose, saying that he won't break up with Rinko, so Ichinose plans to confess to Rinko after he wins the competition. Day of the snack contest arrives, and Ichinose realizes he forgot all of his equipment at the store, and there's not enough time for him to drive there and get it. Rinko is like, no worries, Takeo will bring it over to you, and Ichinose is like, the hell he will, after I've been threatening to steal his girlfriend. But Takeo is a selfless human being, even for his love rifle, and he brings the equipment as requested. Ichinose thanks him, and asks him to stay to watch the competition, which he ends up winning. And afterward, he confesses his love to Rinko, who firmly rejects them. Rinko's like, yeah, sorry, bud, Takeo claimed my heart a long time ago, but I'd still like to keep my job, pretty please. And Rinko feels really guilty about not picking up on Ichinose's flirting sooner, or realizing that Takeo was worried. But Takeo calls her by her first name, and he tells her that he loves her. The end. Obviously, I am a big fan of my love story. Although it generally has more of a comedic tone than a romantic one, it's a cute story, and I highly recommend watching it. A couple of my favorite takeaways. Firstly, I love that the story is told from Takeyo's perspective. Most of the shoujo anime I've seen tend to come from the female lead's perspective, or at the very least, they like alternate perspectives. So it was kind of refreshing to see the story solely come from Takeyo's point of view. And it was also refreshing to see their entire love story, like not just the slow burn of them falling in love, like we actually get to see them date. And that makes the show way more realistic.
I'll do it! To make you happy!
Well, at least their relationship feels more realistic, because dating and romance don't just stop once you get together. And I feel like a lot of shows and movies neglect or glaze over this aspect of dating, which is a bummer, because I personally think that having characters who are already dating simp over each other, like that shit gets my heart fluttering way more than the pre-dating stuff. Secondly, Takeo is not your typical main character. I mentioned this earlier, but his character design is usually reserved for a sidekick character, and Suna's design is more of like the classic hero for a shoujo manga. So having the roles reversed where Suna is the sidekick and Takeo is the main character, that was like a little fun twist. Speaking of Suna, bless him, he is the best character. I love his rational, sarcastic behavior compared to Takeo's impulsiveness. Their bromance is just top tier. I think that is also a really realistic part of the show too. You know, showing that friendships can be just as meaningful and fulfilling as romantic ones, which is something lacking in even the best of shows. Not everyone wants to date, and even people who do can be perfectly happy alone. Tell that to fucking Erica from Wolf Girl and the Black Prince, please.
Is there anyone out there that hates you, Takeo?
Oh. Suna, I really hope you find someone out there to fall in love with.
Well, I'm having a pretty good time as it is.
And if you hadn't guessed it by now, Suna is aromantic and maybe also asexual. And we don't get to see a lot of representation for the aces in media, so it was really nice to have a character who is smart and logical, representing asexuality. I think the main criticism for My Love Story is that a lot of nothing happens. The episodes don't really build off of each other. Like, for example, once Takeo's baby sister is born, we don't really see her mentioned again. At least in the anime. But I personally don't mind that. I think that the low-stakes atmosphere allows the show to come off as a really comfy vibe. Something you can just put on in the background while you wash the dishes. It's a series that you can pick up and set down at any given time, and you don't need to rewatch the whole series to figure out what's going on. I also am super conflict avoidant to the point where when I rewatch series or movies, I watch the beginning and I watch the end, and I just completely skip the plot because it makes me so anxious that I start sweating and hyperventilating. So I need to go to therapy, but what else is new? Overall, it's sweet, it's wholesome, the characters are pretty likable, except for Ichinose, he needs to be jailed. I would give it a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. It's not like binge-worthy, but it's a good time, and if you haven't seen it, then you should. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys in the next one. Spoiler alert, it is a shoujo anime, and from what I can remember, because it's been a while since I've watched it, but it rivals with Wolf Girl and the Black Prince for having an insufferable female lead and a sadistic asshole as a male lead, so things to look forward to, huh? Okay, take it easy. Bye!